Dr. Dale Comstock, one of the youngest ever members of Delta Force at age 23, where the average age is like 30 or something, right? 30, 35. You're an OGA for 9 years. You were taught, I believe, like classification techniques by the NSA. You worked nuclear security. You have a bachelor's, master's, and a PhD. You're a black belt, professional boxer, author, actor, mercenary, and you're on my podcast, guest, and you're my friend, if I can be a little cheesy and gay at the end of it. And on top of all of it, you're my friend. But that's who you are, author of American Badass. We did like 12 volumes on it on this podcast. Go back and watch them. It's a great series, or buy the book. And but Dale's been on here a million times. Dale is a living legend in the special forces and the tier 1 forces world. And I want, as often is with this podcast, one of the beautiful things about it is something will happen in the news and I'll be like, oh, I wish I could learn more about that. And I'm like, oh, wait, I have the perfect bullshit excuse to talk to someone about this. And with the president of Haiti getting assassinated, and I believe they have arrested a team, I was like, well, it's not like I could find out. And then I was like, oh, wait, friends with Dale Comstock. It's like Dale will know, or at least know something about it. So for Dale, but for all the new listeners, please introduce yourself.
All right, man. Yeah. Well, you know my name. And so, yeah, I was, man, where do I even start? Let's just say I'm an Army brat. My dad was in the Army for 20 years. I joined the Army when I was 18. Did 20 years myself as a Delta Force operator, Green Beret, paratrooper scout. Retired in 2001, sorry. Did work for OGA for 9.5 years. Concurrently ran a couple of my own companies. Turned around, sold both those companies. The first one I sold to G4S. The second one in 2011 I sold to a company called Intrepid. And then ended up in Hollywood by accident on television. I just got discovered, believe it or not, discovered by Discovery Channel the first time. And then NBC and so forth and so on. And then a couple other things happened. I finally found myself in Hong Kong running a security detail for a multi-billionaire investment banker. And then from there, I ended up in Indonesia, chasing my wife, who's Indonesian. I met in Hong Kong. And then we got married. And since then, we've run our own company down in Bali, a security company. We also have a catfish farm there now. And we travel between Panama City Beach, Florida, where we have a home, and Bali, Indonesia, where we have our other home. So I'm kind of a jack of all trades, a journeyman, if you will. I do a lot of different things. Performance coaching is one of the things I do mainly. I'm authoring more books, and I still do, trainings and acting, whatever comes along. I never wear the same hat every day. Every day is a different hat. So it's a great life, and it's good to be your own boss, be self-made. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, for sure. But I'm living the ideal. I'm living the dream, so to speak. So
you are the most interesting.
And I'm on your podcast.
And you're on my podcast. You're the most interesting man in the world. You are the most interesting man in the world. Yeah, I mean, Dale's performance coaching, also free plug, tier 1 performance coaching, be in the description. With what do you think happened? This doesn't, from my 30-year-old, never fought in any sort of military ever, no service ever. From my 30,000-foot uninformed view, this doesn't look like A, the kind of lone gunman, and it doesn't look like B, like a violent revolution, like, Mussolini being hung upside down. It clearly seems to be a coordinated hit. Do you think this was a nation-state operation? Was this a rogue intel community? Will we ever know? Was it a private thing? What do you think? If anyone would have at least a good idea, it would be you.
So somebody has something to gain by doing this, right? So, it's like anything, like a crime scene, who are your potential suspects? Yeah. And so I could, if I had to write a list, on that list, I would have the opposition party to the guy that was killed, his adversaries. Maybe it's a political hit job.
Yeah.
It could be, you're right, it could be another nation state that might need to take him out because they have interest in that country, and exploiting it for their own, whatever their own gain is. It could be, it could be a private enterprise. Just somebody just had enough of this guy's shit and said, we're going to take him out. Right. So, if I had to place a bet, I would argue that it was probably related to politics, probably the opposition party, even though they're in denial, going, oh my God, this is bad. We got to get to the root of this, and it might not be the whole opposition party. It might be just one guy in there, or it could be an outlier that has something may think he has a chance to be in power. If he can remove certain people, it would get him there. Actually, I was in that position at one time with my mercenary work, where without getting into too many details, the guy that hired us was part of the government, but he was part of one part of the government, and is operating on his own. And basically, he needed to have certain people removed so that they were in his way. They were competing for the presidency of another country, and he needed to have these people removed along the way so that he could now position himself to be, run as the president of this country. And his justification was these were bad guys, and by all accounts, they were bad guys. We know they were bad guys, otherwise we wouldn't have hit them. But it was a power play, and essentially he needed to remove these guys to better position himself to take over this particular government. So that's what I would argue. It's probably a rogue guy in politics that has an agenda, and he needs to get rid of this guy. Maybe the list might have been longer. It might not just been this guy, but it might have been several other people along the way that are going to have to get done. So create a purge to create this an opening for him to get in. That's what I think. Now, there was definitely money involved. Look, no guy's going to go out and do that kind of work for free, not even on principle. You could. It depends on just how bad this guy was. But from all accounts, you don't read about Haiti in the news every day about how corrupt the government is and how everybody's suffering. Not like America, right? Because, I got to tell you, man, our government is far worse. And I don't give a shit what anybody thinks out there than what's going on in the world with Haiti right now. But so that's my thoughts on it. It was probably a political hit job, probably by a rogue somewhere in the mix, vying for power, and he was on the way of eliminating certain people that were in his way. So the group that did it, from the little bit that I know, from just the readings of it all, there were two Americans, but that doesn't mean anything. It was also an eclectic, what we call a strike team, just like the ones I was on. It wasn't just certain Americans. It was an international team of professional hitmen or soldiers to do the work. So were these guys professionals? Well, I guess they were. How good they were, that's another question. But they did get caught. So
yeah.
Actually a lot of them got killed, and which is funny because they couldn't have been that damn good. I mean, look, the Haitian security forces aren't that damn well trained or that damn formidable, but yeah, it sucks for them now, Yeah. And no matter what, right? So no matter what, even if it was the opposition party was fully aware of what was going on, look, they're not going to protect these guys. These guys are now, they're cannon fodder, man. And there's no way out for them. They're doomed at the end of the day. They're not going to get out of that. So,
yeah. Yeah. That seems to be like an odd thing, right? Mercenary work. Like how, you're never gonna, I don't know. Actually, I mean, I can't speak from it. It's not like I've ever done this shit, but like, you're never going to be like heart and mind into it, right? If it's for a paycheck, even if it's for a big paycheck, which is, that's what we all go for. That's what capitalism is. So I'm kind of destroying my own argument. But when it comes down to like life and death, right? You're never, are you on a strike team that's going to take out bin Laden, who killed 3,000 Americans in like the country you love? Like there's a different motivation behind that. There's a different, you're fighting on behalf of like the nation you love versus like a mercenary group, like the pay could be wild. But I mean, I imagine once bullets start flying and the guys around you start dropping, you know, are you gonna die for this investor? It's not quite the same as the
Yeah.
stars and stripes. It's I mean, again,
The,
from my unexperienced mind.
well, if you think about it, right? So this team was again, it was an eclectic team. I guess there were Colombians on board, Americans, probably maybe some Haitians. I don't know. So not, the Colombians and maybe even the Americans really had no vested interest in the overthrow of this country, of this government, right? So they had another incentive. Maybe some degree it was, a moral, ethical decision, but it was also incentivized with money. It had to have been. How much money? I don't know. I can tell you from my own experience, for me to do that kind of work, you better pay me a lot of money. It's got to be well worth my life, my freedom, and all those types of things. So it's it's really risk versus gain. It's one of those types of things. But well, how much is a lot of money to a Colombian or a Haitian guy, or a broke American? That's all relative as well. But that's my thought. It's this was. There's an actor somewhere, a political actor. There's someone that has something to gain, and he's willing to pay money to bring in some guys to do the hit. Unfortunately, I think so they were successful. They did the hit, but the planning wasn't very good, right? So yeah, they accomplished the mission. But they didn't give themselves an escape plan to spend their money. So that's the other thing. That's the other thing you got to think about when you're doing your planning. Is like, okay, we got to be successful, but we also got to be able to get away and spend our money, right? And so, on a professional level, it was a success, but on a personal level, it was a big fail.
Yeah.
So
it's, and Dale, as you know, none of these episodes are ever live. So if I get too close with probing questions, you can just tell me to fuck off. I've always wondered though, I mean, obviously Delta Force, I mean, just, elite of the elite. And then like in Annie Jacobson's book, Surprise, Kill, Vanish, that book is all about is OGA. And their unit, which is the tip of the spear. But I've often thought, how would you go farther ahead of that? And I mean, right, the talent you can only get so good, right? I mean, you get the Olympic dream team and it's the best players from the best teams in the NBA. Like, you can only get so good. To be further ahead on the tip of the spear, there has to be some other variable that you're using. I would imagine that's obfuscation. And just like they say, pilots never know the full mission, and that's by design. So you can, right? You could have a gung ho pilot. You could have a gung ho pilot, right? That's for the United States, but if they get shot down, like a Francis Gary Powers or a Mike Durant, they can only, they can go through all the SEER training. But I mean, eventually, if someone wants, like, they will break them. Like, eventually, like the human body will give in. The best way to protect against a leak of information would be for that person to literally not know the whole picture. So you're chopping off my toes, you're putting needles in my dick, and I'm going, okay, fine, I'm Tommy, I work for the U.S. Air Force, blah, 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 blah. They're like, well, what's the big picture? And I'm like, I'm not read in. Like, I might spill the beans, but I can't spill the beans on those beans which I never held, right? So I say all of that to say, I feel like to get even more tip of the spear than OGA, which is if Delta is the tip of the spear, OGA is the tip of the spear, to go even farther, to be the glint on the tip of the spear, well, wouldn't you contract through private groups so that even if they were compromised, the most they could let up is, we got paid by this guy on this sort of whatever, Bitcoin or dark web or something. But ultimately, that's what you would do, right? You could contract like a foreign billionaire to contract a team to still do the same hit that you were going to do via Delta or via OGA. but you could do it behind more layers. And that's my unexperienced mind, but that's sort of my running hypothesis. Is there any validity to something like that, and can it even be proven? So are we just kind of blowing smoke up our asses?
Yeah, so there's a lot of variables, right? So, so let's let's just talk about selection of a team. All right, you're the guy that's got an agenda. You have to select a team. How do you know you got the best guys, right? You can, usually it's through someone that knows someone that knows someone. And then it's got to be, I got a job. Tell me about this guy's background. Yep, he's the best of the best of the best. Okay. Then you approach him. Are you interested? I got a job. And this big picture, this is what it looks like, but you don't go into the details of it. Why? Because all it does is take for you to approach the wrong guy that thinks, he's got some kind of moral high ground on you, and he reports you, right? And now you've already blown what we call OPSEC, operational security. You mentioned earlier about, the operator not having all the information, right? He just needs to know what he needs to know. And so, yeah, of course you want that. You want it to be compartmentalized, right? So the guy on the ground, he knows the tactical plan, but he's not aware of the strategic plan, right? The bigger plan. Okay, that's the one that's guarded. Why, the bigger picture, why are we doing this? I don't know. It's none of your business. Here's the tactical plan. We need to remove this guy. Now, I can tell you, any fucking guy with a brain cell that's doing this kind of work is going to go, wait a minute, why am I taking this guy out? Because I want to know I'm not going out on a hit squad, right? That I'm actually doing something that's legit. I mean, I'm taking out a target that, is a bad guy. Okay. Not only is he a bad guy to you, but in my mind, he's also a bad guy. Right. So that's an important element. If you got a conscience anyways, there are guys out there that probably don't care who they smoke. They'll do anybody for money. Me personally, the group of guys I work with, there's another side to this thing. It's like, look, I want to know why he's a bad guy. Okay, you told me he's a bad guy because it is. I'm going to check it out. Okay, and if I concur, it's like, okay, this is easy, right? I don't have a problem taking out bad guys and getting paid for it too.
Yeah.
I have a problem taking out a good guy and getting paid for it because you have an agenda just because you don't like him, right? So there's always that factor, right? So there's a lot of other factors involved, like I said, skill sets. How do you know the guy has the right skill sets? Okay, so I got selected one time. Now the client didn't, initially they didn't want to talk to me over the phone. They minded OPSEC. It was critical to them that they talk to me though. It was very vague what they wanted. I indicated I wasn't interested, but they kept insisting that we talk. They went so far as to buy my plane tickets, give me a lot of money in cash when I arrived. We had a meeting, and they kind of explained to me, okay, what's the mission here? And I got the mission, but I wasn't sure, why is it so important? It's so important that I'm a part of this mission. And I actually remember telling my client that, or my employer, I was like, look, I'm interested, but not this go around. I got other things on the agenda. I need a little bit of time to regroup, and I'll go on the second evolution on the next, give me a couple of weeks, and then I'll come back and pick it up with you. And he goes, nope. He goes, if I don't have you on the first operation, I don't need you on any operation. It didn't make any sense to me, right? But he was pretty adamant about that. He goes, I got to have you for the first operation. And then basically he said, if I don't have the first one, I'll never have you. I was interested, and he actually threw a lot of money out on the table. And he goes, I'm willing to pay you this, just take the job right off the bat. And it was a lot of money. And I thought, damn, okay. And he goes, there's more to follow, like a lot more to follow. And after doing the math, I realized, geez, I could easily be a multimillionaire within a year, doing this work. And so I said, okay. I said, look, just give me a couple of days to kind of get my personal things in order and count me in. And then later on, after we did the first operation, we got it done relatively fast, in short order. We went back to the client and sat around the table, go, okay, all right, mission accomplished on the first objective. And then it all became very clear to me what was going on. And so I realized that the first mission was really just a vetting operation and make sure that we could do what we said that we could do, right? And so my employer knew that without me, he's not going to get her done, because at least he understood, what his limitations were. His tactical experience, was not on par with mine. I'm not saying he was an idiot or anything, but he didn't have my level of experience. In fact, the entire team that he had basically organized, also he felt like did not have the level of training and experience that I had. And so to ensure success, he needed to make sure that he's got the team has the skill sets, the knowledge, the experience to be successful the first time out. Because if the first mission didn't go, we're not going to get any other missions. And the target deck was deep, and it was long, and and it was vast, and it was worth lots of money, like retarded money, man. It was crazy how much money was on the table, and so it was imperative that the first mission went right. And so when I agreed to that, he's like, here's the deal. He goes, although I have a partner who's a SEAL, he goes, be honest with you guys, the guy's a shit show. He goes, he's a good dude, but, he doesn't have your experience, but he's a pretty boy, likes to smoke and drink. He's really good at carousing with the clients, He goes, I'm not into that. He goes, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do none of that bullshit. He goes, so on the business development side, he's good for the business development. He goes, but I also know his limitations, and and so he goes, I need you to be my strategic advisor and run the entire operation from soup to nuts. And I thought, damn, that's a quite an order, right? So, but that's what happened. Basically my job was literally to be a strategic advisor. And my job was also to do the tactical planning, operations, make sure every guy is prepared to go out, downrange and get the job done. So, for all intents and purposes, I was the operations officer on this whole particular program. But it was clear to me that I was essential because it had to be successful in order to get the follow-on missions. And so that was my job. I was successful. We were successful in that regard, and they handed us the target deck, which was pretty good. So, as you can imagine, if you think it through a little bit, there's a lot of factors at play. Actually, I didn't quite understand why I was that important until I got on the ground with the team and realized that, we had, it was a small team, it was a small strike team, very small strike team. But some of the guys that were on there they basically had basic infantry skills. Even though they were, foreign legionnaires and others, they didn't have any knowledge on the use of explosives. A lot of them didn't understand how to use certain heavy weapon systems like 50 caliber machine guns, some of the other foreign weapons. And believe it or not, I had one of the SEALs didn't even know how to put an AK-47 into action. I mean, he was a SEAL. Are you kidding me? Even a first grader could figure this one out, but it was that bad. And so I found myself out there training guys on weapon systems, how to basically put a machine gun in action, clearing stoppages, all those types of things, 50 calibers to PKM machine guns, to Mag 58s, different types of grenade launchers, RPGs, anything that we had available to us, we didn't know how to use it. And there was a tactical planning of it all. How are we going to actually execute? And that even got more comical. I remember so the one guy that we're going after was very well trained in streetcraft. In counter surveillance. He never put his head down on the same pillow every night. He was always moving. He had a security detail. He was financed by bad guys, very bad guys. He walked around pretending like he's a good guy, and everybody thought he was the good guy, but there was actually many bad things about him. And so we knew that. Not everybody else knew that, but he was really cagey, very cagey, hard to corner and catch him, right? He was always on the move. And one of the missions required, we thought, well, maybe one of the options is when he's running in his motorcade, we get the hit, we get on the motorcycles, catch up with the motorcade, and basically, hang an explosive charge from his vehicle while he was in it with using the motorcycle. So the question we got was, how many guys know how to ride a motorcycle? I'm the only guy who knew how to ride a motorcycle. Can you fucking believe that? I'm the only guy that knew how to ride a motorcycle. I said, are you kidding me? I'm the only guy who knew how to build IEDs. I was the go-to guy for everything. I'm like, damn, okay, I get it, right? Could we have picked a better team? I don't know, man. And here's the other thing is, I was actually shocked and surprised when I offered this opportunity to other guys out there, especially in the special operations community. They didn't quite know what the mission was. I just said, look, there's a lot of money involved. You're going to be taking out terrorists. You're going to be going after bad guys. We've got someone else is sanctioning this, but it's all above board. Nobody wanted a job. It's like, wow, it's too risky, whatever. It's like there was a lot of people were very averse to doing this work, and weren't even interested in learning more about it. So anyways, it was hard to assemble a team of what I would consider to be really competent guys. A lot of excuses were being made. I almost think it was because when I told them, listen, all right, there's no quick reaction force to back us up. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have any air support. You're not going to have any medical support. Okay. I said, basically, it's going to be you and me and a few other guys in a street fight every day with basic black market fucking weapons that we get. All right. No special gear, other than what we fucking find or build. And we're going to go mano a mano with the bad guys, terrorists, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. And I said, that's it. And they get shot. I guess we're on our own, man. We're going to have to get you out there. We're going to have to fix you up. And if you get killed, nobody will ever know it. If you get captured, nobody will ever know it. It's just going to be that. That's how it is. And the only way I could equivocate that was, this is where we see who's really the best at the best soldier. I said, now you're going out there. It's just you and the adversary on the battlefield with the same gear. All right. And it's your skill set versus their skill set. Yeah. Are you ready to go out there and see what you're made of? Right. You'd be surprised how many guys were not willing to go out there and do that. I just didn't. What do you mean no medical? Yeah, there's no medical. There's no QRF. There's no SARBirds. There's nobody coming for you, and nobody's going to know where you are. I said, but if you go, you get the satisfaction of knowing you let the air out of a lot of bad guys, and you got paid a lot of freaking money for it. Yeah. Are you confident to do the job? And actually, a lot of guys had, they made their reasons known why. And all kinds of reasons why they didn't do it. And so it was hard to put together, assemble another team of the level of expertise that I thought the job required. So that, going and having that said, here's this Haiti thing, that might have been as good as they could assemble, sure. With what the information that was available under the circumstances, the pay, there's all these factors involved. But if you're going to do something like that, you better have somebody that's running the show that knows strategy, has a good plan, and most importantly, has an exit plan. How the hell we get out of here if things go south, man? That's just like the guys that went down to Venezuela, the mm-hmm. Green Beret dudes, right? They got caught in a boat out in the harbor in broad daylight. They fucked it all up. It's like, what were they thinking? Hello, but that was amateur hour as well. I wasn't there, so I don't know all the circumstances. Sure. I'm not going to judge them, but the lesson learned is, if you do something like that, make sure you live to spend your damn money.
Is there an enticement factor to? Because I think it finally makes sense, and I've told this story before about how I think it was last summer I texted you or called you or some shit. And I was like, you said OGA was at the tip of the spear, but then you said, mercenary work is even higher. And I've asked you 100 times. I was like, what do you mean by that? And I've brought it up on this podcast. And I think I finally, after a year, I think I just got that answer from you. And there's no air support. There's no QRF. There's no medical. There's no $100,000 thermal infrared tactical. It's I mean, because it truly has to be zero footprint, so you only use what's there, and that way you blend in, right? It would, someone could find a footprint if like Steven Spielberg came to help me with my podcast. They'd be like, no, we didn't see Spielberg, but there is a $200,000 camera in his room, and he's he's in an apartment, and it's worth more than a decade of rent. It'd be like, yeah, that makes. You have to be truly no footprint, and the only way to do that is, you're right, to use whatever weapons are there. Is there a certain part of that is, sure, you're letting the air out of bad guys, you're making a fat paycheck, but is there also like a personal, like, I know for myself that I just summited Mount Everest of warfare, of like all the fighters throughout the millennia. I'm in the pantheon. I did the highest of the high. Is there a non-tangible, non-financial aspect to it, or is that just me romanticizing it?
No, actually, you're right, because like, for example, let's just say the Army. Actually now military wide, but in the Army, everybody, okay, any guy that was interested in combat wanted to be a warrior, right? Not a guy that wants to be a mechanic or a cook or clerk or whatever, but a guy that really wanted to be a warrior, wanted to go meet the threat on the battlefield and fight it out. That takes a special breed, by the way. That's actually a DNA thing, and so there are guys that think it's a great idea, but they just don't have the DNA for it, right? And there's some guys that just live for that. I'm that guy. I've never been afraid of combat, man. I thrive in it, man. I freaking, that's why I was a professional fighter, a professional boxer, and I like martial arts. I just like fighting, man. It's in my heart, man. It's like a pit bull, it's what's in there for me. And so, when you're in the military, I started out in the 82nd Airborne Division, the infantry, and I always thought about, man, I would love to be a Green Beret, that's like the next tier, Little did I know there's this unit called the Delta Force. Until later on, I go, what? There's what? Delta Force guys, they do what? And holy shit, right? And it's even like even a smaller freaking percentage. And I thought for sure that was the final frontier. You get there, you've made it to the top of warriorhood. And after I get there, I realize there's actually another layer. Really? Yeah. Paramilitary operative, with the government. Like, no shit. And that's even smaller, man. It's even like, damn. And then now I thought about one day, I go, what would be the ultimate warriorhood, I thought, being a freaking mercenary, when you think about it, as a mercenary, up to that point in life, I've had Big Mill behind me, man. No matter how small my team was going out in the field, I always knew there was close air support. I can get them on station. There was going to be, a QRF. There was going to be search and rescue birds. Things really went shit. I'd end up in a JMAL, a medical cert, MASH units. There was going to be help. I might be dead, but there's going to be somebody's going to try to recover my body, and they're going to try to support me as the best they can, and that gives you a lot of confidence going out to fight. But being a mercenary, when you're a real mercenary, okay, I'm not talking about Blackwater, something like that. I'm talking about you going down range, fighting for a foreign government, okay, who really don't give two shits about you. They don't care because you're just a foreigner to them. You're cannon fodder, right? You're just a tool, a means to the end. And you know that, right? I don't go down there with the idea that, these guys are going to look out for me because they're paying me money and they like me. No, they don't fucking care. That's why they hired you. They'd rather have me die than their own guys die, right, for the country, right? So it's kind of what we do anyways when we go overseas and we're recruiting, Afghans and Iraqis to do our bidding for us, We kind of want to put them out in front. We train them and do the fighting for us. That's kind of what I was doing, okay? Except the difference was, I wanted to get paid for it. And you're right. So you go down range knowing that there's no QRF, there's no medical support anywhere ever. If you become a prisoner, there's going to be no rescue team to get you out. In fact, nobody's going to try to negotiate with the bad guys to get your freedom. Nobody cares about you, right? You're in a situation where you're expendable to everybody, and nobody's going to acknowledge you. Only person going to acknowledge you is a bad guy if he catches you. He's going to hold your head up in front of, the camera and go, look at this shit, He's going to use you for political purposes. He's the only one that's going to exploit you. Everybody else don't give two shits. Nobody's going to give two shits. Nobody. So you're going down the range knowing that, you're on your own. And like in my case, we literally went down, we infiltrated civilian clothes. It's not like we could show with all our bags, with all our gear in and stuff. Hey, here's us. We're going to. Nope. You show up, and then when you're there, I can remember sewing and making tactical equipment out of pieces and parts of stuff we could salvage. Making my own load-bearing equipment, put magazines in it. I had a 30-year-old Chicom AK-47, 30 years old. Chinese AK-47. Okay, I had a Makarov that it was funny. It was so old. And the bullets were like so freaking old. I remember shooting it, and the bullet would come out and go about 15 feet and then hit the ground in front of me, just flop to the ground. Had no velocity, nothing to it. It turned into be a hammer, right? And so I just do that to the size of the arm. We'll be needing that. But that's what it's like, right? And there's no helmets, there's no body armor, over time, you do your battlefield recovery and you start getting things, and you scrounge and scavenge, and salvage what you can. You start upgrading your gear as best you can, but it's improvisation, And so, to me, really what you're really relying on at that point is no longer relying on other people to help you, support you, back you, rescue you. You're no longer relying on high-speed gear. You're going out to fight on the fundamentals, the basics, okay? A basic weapon, all right? And you got the same shit the other guy has. The only difference between you and him is hopefully you got much better training, and hopefully your willpower is stronger than his. Your will to live and fight is going to be better than his, right? And so don't get any better than that. You're literally a gladiator, man. And it's me against him, and one of us ain't leaving here today. Not in one piece anyways, And so that's exhilarating. And, and so there's the, I don't know what you want to call it, but that's the part of the work where, and by the way, and you don't do it with, the intent of telling the whole world, yeah, look, this is what I used to do. The only reason I'm telling people why I did it is because, again, the SEAL that we had ran his damn mouth, went to a news reporter. He's trying to make money and sell what we did as a movie, right? And he basically told our names to everybody, to news reporters and phone numbers, gave it out, and we were compromised. He didn't follow OPSEC. Otherwise, the world would never have known anything that we've ever done, because we don't need to tell the world, right? Because now if we do that, we put an X on our back, and we've had a couple of incidents where guys were targeted because of that. One guy was shot later on here in the U.S. There's some other things that happened, So I travel internationally a lot, and I have to be very careful because of that. There's people out there, that don't like me anymore because of what we had to do, the bad guys, And so otherwise it wouldn't ever come out. But, I know that what I did really was, to me, was it was the ultimate warriorhood. It was the ultimate, being the ultimate soldier. It was me and them with just my skill set versus your skill set, and let's see who wins, And that's the pinnacle. That's the pinnacle. When you got the balls and the experience, to go out and do something like that, that's when you reach the final frontier. And so, and don't get me wrong, it ain't no joke. It's dangerous business, and you have everything to lose on many levels, right? Not only your life, money, but there's also other people that could suffer for that. Your family, your kids, people know where you're at, never see you again. Like what happened to Dad, or maybe they themselves become a target. So there are definitely pitfalls with it. But like you said, ultimately, how many people actually get to do this kind of work in history? Really, the numbers of guys that have actually done this kind of work. And there's people out there frown upon it. Mercenary or soldier. a fortune, and murderers, and assassins and blah 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 blah. Look, everybody's trying to put you down, make you look bad usually because they're fucking pussies themselves, right? And I get that all the time, I had one guy fucking, blast me on social media about, this guy thinks he's a badass, blah, 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 mercenary work, ha. And then I look at his profile, and he literally says he's a mercenary, right? But he's never done mercenary work in his life, but he's playing himself off as a mercenary. So there's a lot of jealousy out there, and animosity, Everybody thinks that, their shit's better than your shit. Their kung fu's better than your kung fu, whatever. You know what? I do what I do. I do me, and mind your own damn business. I'll mind my business, and we'll all just get along. That was my attitude, but it's still my attitude. But going back to the Haiti thing, interesting, but what's the good initiative? Good initiative, but bad judgment on that one. They had a bad plan at the end of the day. They got caught. Yeah. The goal is not to get caught. The goal is to be able to spend your money, and meet the objective. So
I've been trying to squeeze this episode out of you for a year. Then it's because I'm always obsessed with like hierarchies, like a faster car or like a faster, higher plane or a quicker computer or a whatever, like, Olympians. Just always, I love, there's just something I love about hierarchies and just pinnacle achievements and apex predators. And I love that visual of going into airborne and then being like Green Berets, and you describe it in your book, and then you see that guy running across the field. You're like, who the fuck's that? And they're like, that's Delta. You're like, what is Delta? They're like, oh, it's above us. And what? And then getting a Delta, you find out about OGA, and then in OGA it's like there's one step further. I just love that imagery of like, you can't go farther than that, right? You couldn't, right? Is there anything farther than mercenary?
No, other than
about like solo.
I don't know,
like solo mercenary work.
Either that being on a task force to attack and kill aliens.
That's what my follow-up question was going to be. Is like, unless you're part of the security force that we go to the moon or go to Mars. That's what my end question was going to be, is like space travel, right? I feel like that would have to be, Mr. Comstock. It's, there's an object on the far side of the moon. That is.
You're pretty old now and not a lot of use to humanity. Would you be willing to go up there to take on these guys? Sure, why not?
I bet you would.
Left to lose.
I bet you would.
I would.
I'd see you up there on the far side of the moon, just you walking around, just looking at, just like, this is the pinnacle. This is the fucking whipping around in the Apollo moon rover. Yeah, man. There's something about no one knows. Of thinking about this.
And I tell you something else. And there's something about the guy that will do that kind of work, right? So when I look back at the people I've worked with in this line of work before, everybody, it's not the money, man. Because I know how much money some of the other guys got paid, and I thought, damn, I could make that kind of money in a month, 2 months, doing some other stuff that I'm doing, and. At the end of the day, it wasn't that much money for them. For me, it was because of what I had to do. But, and I realized, are they really here for the money, or is it for the thrill, the excitement, because they have that lust to do this kind of work? And it's because of the lust, there were guys that actually kept going down range and didn't get paid yet, but they said, I'm sure I'll get paid one day. I'll keep on going down range, right? They didn't know for sure, but, it takes a certain breed of man to do that, and I think it's innate. I don't think you can just through training and experience create that kind of a warrior, because you can have all the skill sets in the world and be really good, but not have the heart and the courage to actually go do the work, right? You could be a great shot, right? Look, there's great shots all over the place. Now everybody's a great shooter, right? But how many of these guys that can shoot really well have the balls? Really have the balls to shoot somebody when it comes down to it, right? And that's the question. That's always the question every man's back in their head. Can I do it? If I ever found myself in a life and death situation, do I think I can do it, or would I hesitate?
Yeah.
That's the That's the question, man. Would you hesitate? You know, the book on it's called On Killing by David Grossman. I think you've read it. He talks a lot about that. About he goes all the way back to like the Revolutionary War and Civil War and other wars, and he talks about what kind of man will actually kill another man, and he did a lot of research on it. And for what I remember from the book, basically he was saying that you have what's called group absolution. And group absolution means as a collective, as a group, you're more emboldened to fight and kill somebody as a group than you are as an individual, right? And he said if you took, for example, 10 soldiers and they were fighting the bad guys, okay, in a firefight, he says what you'll find is if you really analyze and pay close attention, of the 10, maybe one, maybe two actually have that killer instinct and will actually be trying to kill the other guy. The other 8 will be shooting above their head. It's called posturing. Will be shooting above their heads all around them, but not really trying to take out the bad guys. And he cites some examples back then, in the Revolutionary War where they had these big bayonet charges, right? All these dudes come together, a lot of noise being made, clacking, bayonet charges and swords, and then they all retreat, and then there's like 2 dead guys on the field. What happened there? Everybody else got a little scratchy here and there, and so it's called posturing, right? And so he digs deep into that, and it's been my personal experience. There's actually a lot of truth to that, and a lot of that is cultural, right? So we as Americans are always raised and taught, you don't kill people, no fighting, no biting, be nice to, that type of shit, right? And so we are more inclined to do that than, let's just say, some of these other third world countries like Afghans, right? They're kind of more, they grew up in a more violent culture, and so they are more likely to freaking kick somebody's ass than we are. We're somewhat inhibited by our culture and our upbringing, and a sense of fair play, and only punch the guy in the nose, but don't jump on when he's down and kick him in the head too. We have this
Sure.
this kind of chivalry about us, and I think that's actually it's not good for us as a warrior, right? And then there's some of us out there that just don't give a shit. I've already rationalized what I'm doing, why I'm going to do it, and I'll sleep good at night for it, and it doesn't have that impact on my morals, because what I am doing is already moral. Killing a bad guy is moral for me. Okay, for the liberals out there, everybody else, you should be nice to the bad man, he'll be nice to you. No, that doesn't fucking work. Okay, it sounds good, but it doesn't work. We try that on the battlefield, it doesn't work. And so there's other things that go into this thing. Like I said, group absolution. You're emboldened as a group. There's another phenomena. The most effective, like in like World War II, in Vietnam, the most effective warriors were warriors that were either on an artillery weapon, right, as a team, or gunners and a machine gun crew, right? So, for example, machine gun crew. So normally you have the gunner. You have a guy that's spotting for them, shoot there, and then you have a guy loading ammunition, right, ammo bearer. So you got 3 guys that run a gun, basically. And so the reason they're so effective is because even though the guy's pulling the trigger and he's shooting people, in his mind he's going, yeah, but I was just pulling the trigger. That guy was telling me how to shoot. And that guy was putting bullets in my gun.
Yeah.
The guy putting the bullets in the gun going, hey, I was just putting bullets in the gun. Those 2 fuckers were shooting everybody, right?
Yeah.
And the guy pointing out, I can show you where the targets were, but you were doing the shooting and loading the ammo, right? Yeah. So it's
diffusion of responsibility.
Diffusion of responsibility, exactly, right? So that made them more effective. Same thing with artillery. Actually, with artillery, they don't even see the target, sure, right? They're like, they get great coordinates. Just put fucking rounds there, good, and you feel good about it, right? It's a lot different when you see a guy dying in front of you, and you see the look on his fucking face when he's going down. Yeah. Like, damn, that's actually a human being. He's got emotion, and you hear him screaming and hollering and crying, Sure. So that has a different impact. And so the emotional side of us, the human side of us, sometimes has a hard time trying to deal with that, And I guess it's a matter of perspective. We're trained like in the military to shoot silhouettes. just silhouettes, green silhouettes of humans, right? So it's just a silhouette, but there's no face to it, right? There's no emotion to it. So it makes it easy to train a guy to shoot a silhouette, and then in combat, it's, you basically what you're just seeing is a silhouette because you've been trained so much on it. It's like that guy's no longer human. You dehumanize him and you shoot him, right? As an object, as a pinned target, and it does work. That there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I've experienced it myself, and it's almost kind of, it's the first time I experienced, we used to always train on the way we're going to fight. It was always live ammunition, always live ammunition. It was like a real deal, always live ammunition. Even sometimes we actually had role players on the target with live ammunition. We weren't shooting the role players. We were shooting targets, but we had role players. And I can remember the first time we did a real assault. It was just like training. In fact, I had to remind myself, no, this is actually real. Even though you don't see the bullets, there's actually bullets flying through the air at you and at them, and these guys are falling down, aren't pretending to be dead. They're actually dead, so, but it did a lot to make me calm anyways. And, I had to keep telling myself, dude, this is real. This is real. This is not training. This is real, So in that sense, it helps. But again, it takes a special kind of guy, to do this kind of work because, the other thing too you have to do is, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to basically resolve your own death. What that means is you got to be comfortable with whatever you're doing, knowing that you could get killed because any hesitancy, right, will get you killed. If there's any doubt about what's going to happen to you when you die, you're less likely to extend yourself out there, right? If you're not sure if you're going to go to heaven, if there's a God, if you're not sure if your insurance is paid up, your premiums, if you're not sure your personal affairs are in order, there's so many things that come to play. If you left and you and your wife were having, or on bad terms and you might be going through a divorce, those are kind of things that make you go, fuck, is there some other guy sleeping with my wife now? I don't want to die yet. I need to go back and, there's so much that goes into the psyche that if it's not resolved, it gets you killed. I've seen guys get killed, literally, man, in a car, in a parking garage. He's going to die. Guy's got a gun on him. He's coming at him to kill him. And the guy's begging and pleading. The guy's like, no, please, wait, stop, wait. He's trying to negotiate. Like, just hold on for me. I got something to tell you. There's nothing to tell. This guy's already made his mind. He just wants to kill you. And he's trying to beg and plead with this guy. And he's trying to identify with this guy on a human level, hoping the guy would go, okay, what do you want to tell me before I shoot you, right? Yeah. It doesn't happen. And the guy is dead for it, right? Rather than he should have been, as soon as that gun came out, it's game on. I'm coming for you. Yeah, I'm going to die trying, but there's no conversation going to happen in this thing. And that's what happens when you don't resolve your own death. And look, that's the problem with most people out there. They can't resolve their own death, so they hesitate. It's the guy that has no inhibition because he's resolved his own death and he enjoys what he's doing. Doesn't mean he's a psychopathic killer, but he's very comfortable with what he's doing. Professional. That's the most dangerous guy out there.
Yeah.
That's the most dangerous guy out there. Better look out, Yeah. I kind of think I'm that guy. I don't care. When I go down range, it's like I don't look backwards anymore. It's like I'm in my mind. I've already said goodbye to my past, my family. If I see them again, oh, lucky me. But I don't go down and think about that, and I don't go out there thinking, well, maybe we'll kind of posturing and work. No, I came here with one intention: to kill you. That's it. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to sleep well. And so. It takes a special guy to do that kind of work because these are factors that the average person doesn't think about. Even the average soldier doesn't think about. I guarantee you, even the average soldier doesn't think about shit like this. But when you reach that level of professionalism, if you will, all that's already been reconciled, and that's what makes you the professional, and that's what allows you to go forward and do this kind of work because you're not inhibited by all these other thoughts and these what if and this. None of that matters anymore. It's like, I'm here. Yeah. I'm ready to go out there, not sacrificing my body, but I'm willing to go and meet you head on. Yeah. Let the best man win. It's just like boxing, man. You know, people can't get their head around, you know, people think boxing should be outlawed. It's so brutal. It's a blood sport. They're going out and beat each other's brains out, or MMA, you know, UFC. And actually, those guys that get in the ring, they're not getting in the ring because they're afraid for their life. They're going in the ring because they like this, man. They like getting punched in the face. They like punching people in the face. And they like winning. You know, yeah. It's okay. You know, knock on my teeth. That's cool. You know, I'm back for the next fight.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing when people are, I think it was probably like this time last year. People are like, you know, there's so many people simping for their jobs. They're saying, I want to go back to work. And you're making more money on unemployment or stimulus checks. Like what? And it's like you can see the line between how some people operate. It's like the people that are saying, I want to go back to work, it's something much deeper. These are people that like to accomplish. They don't just want to be given the bare minimum. There is something about going out and getting it. There's something. Why does Jeff Bezos need $200 billion? Bezos never looked at it that way. You can find old pictures of him literally serving hot dogs on like a boardwalk. I mean, like bullshit. You know, you can see him in his garage with a desk, and there's a sign written in Sharpie, and it says Amazon, and it's in like the 90s. Like that dude was never going, well, once I get $1 billion, I won't need more. That guy was next target, conquer. Next target, conquer. There's a difference between these people, but I know I'm about to go off down to a rabbit hole about fucking Amazon or some shit. I've kept you for an hour, and I know you got to go, so we'll wrap this one up. But Dale Comstock.
Let me add one thing on that, right? So the difference between those people you just mentioned, there's survivors and thrivers. The survivors just want the welfare checks, the free money. They just want to survive, right? I just want to survive, right? Even though the opportunity to thrive and grow is staring them right in the face. There's help wanted signs everywhere. Okay. And they're paying a lot of damn money. Got a candy store down the road here starting at $14 an hour selling candy. Okay. The difference with people, and they are kind of sheeple, right? There's a few, not too many people are wolves out there. And most people just want to survive. That's all because they have a survival mindset. You know, I just got to make sure it's their comfort zone. And guess what? Nothing grows in the comfort zone. Okay. If you're just happy being in the comfort zone and just surviving with whatever little bit of shit gets thrown down on you to eat, you know, you'll never be nobody in life. You'll be nothing. Okay. You'll achieve shit. Okay. And you'll sit there and look at everybody else and go, that's not fair. Jeff Bezos got all that money and we need more of his money. You're a parasite. But the people that, you know, the small group of people out there, the successful people, are the thrivers. The thrivers go, you know what? I'm going to make the most out of this and get the most out of this, and I'm going to grow. You know, I'm not going to drown in this fucking sewer. I'm going to use the fertilizer to grow out of it. Yeah. You know, and so, you know, and those are the thrivers, man, that take advantage of it. And even now there's free money. Well, it's not free. Nothing's ever free. Okay. That's the other thing. That's a fallacy. There's no such thing. You're not getting free shit. Yeah. What you're getting is tax money that other people like me work for. It goes into the system that you're getting. And two, a lot of it's just paper money is being printed out. It's got it's got no value to it, right? And it's going to lose its value eventually. But you know, the thrivers in the world are the guys that go, you know what? There's jobs everywhere. I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to get that job while I can. I'm going to take this part-time job. I'm going to get as much money as I can. I'm going to take this money. I'm going to invest in something else. I am going to water the seed of life, man. And I'm going to grow, and I'm going to become huge. And all these little weeds down here are going to be mad at me because, you know, I got all the water and I got all the growth, the same shit you could have got, right? But you were happy just wallowing in shit and complaining, and I just use it as fertilizer to grow. Yeah. You know, so there is a difference between survivors and thrivers. And unfortunately, about 2% of the population are thrivers. The other 98% are survivors with micro victories, a little victory here. Oh, I got this. I got a little promotion. Ooh, I'm great. Ain't shit. You know, you're just basically eking out a life. You're surviving. Stop being a survivor and be a thriver, man. That's right. You know, and that's the difference, man. That is the difference. Yeah. Surviving and thriving.
Yeah. So. Fuck yeah. And it's, fuck yeah. No, I get so jacked up on that shit. I'm like, fuck yeah. No, I remember being pre-med in college, and I vividly remember getting a 99 in OChem 2, which was like a weed out class. And I remember the average was like a 45. And people had to drop the course left and right. It was summer 2012 at UGA. And I remember one time being in lab and everyone was talking. They're like, no, somebody keeps getting like 99, so there's no curve. And they're like, why is that guy need a 99 when like a 90 is an A? And I was in that class and I just remember thinking, I was like, you guys are always going out of the bar and getting fucked up. Like, I don't drink. Like, I just study. And to me, I'm like, no, like, you can't ever talk someone out of being better. The only way to do it is to compete with them. You can't go, he's running a 4-minute mile. That's way too fast. You're never going to compete with that guy. You have to outdo them. So if you don't like my 99, you got to get 100. Piss on my face. Like, it's and that's a different mindset is like, yeah, I don't want to just do well. Like, I want to eviscerate the competition. To me, it's like a metaphysical thing. Like, I want this podcast to be the biggest one in the world. Like, I'd love to make money. I'd love to do a lot of philanthropy. I'd love to do like mental health, but it's also on like a different form. It's like, this is what I'm like incarnated in this like 3-dimensional universe for. Like, I'm here. Yours is a warrior. Mine is through podcasts. Like, but it's the same core of like, I want to eviscerate the competition. I want to stand on top of Mount Everest, with the dragon's head. It's so much more than just, well, you did 500 episodes. Isn't that enough? And it's like, no, bitch. Like, I want to be doing an episode with Dale and with an alien and us having a round table talking about how is conflict different in your world than it is here. And until I've reached that point, like, in my mind, I've accomplished nothing. Now I'm going to get jacked up and start screaming, and I know you got to go, so.
That's cool. No worries, man.
Dale Comstock, author of American Badass, will be in the description. Tier 1 performance coaching, as well as Dale's Instagram. If you don't want performance coaching, you don't want to buy a book, go fucking follow his Instagram. It's funny. I love it. It's inspiring. It's a blast. But Dale Comstock, American Badass, living legend. As always, man, thank you so much. And till next week, brother. All right, man. Take care, buddy.
Take care.
Peace.
Recording stopped.